Yeah, so that video was recorded um, in May of this year in Verduna in Slovenia, where we held the Ready Summer School, and those people on the video were participants in that summer school. How did we get to there? Before the project began, in Belvedere Youth Club, they had been working with restorative practice. Um, and in the other countries in the project, which are Sweden and Slovenia, both countries have been working with yoga for young people. And in fact, Charlotta, who has been working in the UK for a very long time with yoga for young people, worked with Swedish partners, Young Souls, um, and there had been a kind of a little pilot done in the UK working with these kind of techniques. The idea was that when young people come into a session, whether it's a school session, in fact, or a session involving any kind of youth work, they come in all sorts of different states. Some of them are agitated, some of them are feeling very tired or run down or sad, depending on the things that have been happening to them outside in their lives. In order to make the most of a session, they need to be brought into land, you could say. They need to be focused, they need to be concentrated, they need to be centered on what we're doing right here, right now in the session. It's sometimes said that one of the biggest problems in working with young people these days is a problem of cognitive presence, that people may be physically present, but they're not actually with you. Their minds are miles away. So the idea of this project was to develop an approach that would help youth workers to get the young people ready for whatever was to be done in a session. So we applied to the European Commission for funding to do this. Got the funding. The first part of the project involved a lot of conversations with young people and youth workers. We did an extensive survey in the 3 countries of youth workers and what their views were on the difficulties of working with young people, what kind of problems the young people bring to sessions, etc. And on the basis of that, we started to develop a program, the Ready program, which we then developed into a training initiative, which was carried out in Ireland, in Slovenia, and in Sweden, and it was very successful, very well received. We had a lot of good feedback, and we developed it further, and eventually we, through that process of development, iteration, making tweaks to the program, bringing some things in, taking other things out, we reached a point where we were able to bring it to this summer school in Verduna, which was an event that happened over 3 days in May, and introduced youth workers from all over Europe, as you can see from the people who were on that video. We had people from Bulgaria, from the Netherlands, from Spain, from Italy, I could go on, but the list is quite extensive. And that was a very successful event. People went away very, very happy. The WhatsApp group that was set up during that summer school is still active, and we felt that it was an extremely effective way of testing the generalizability, if you like, of the program that we've developed, because obviously you develop it in 3 countries, you never know if it's really just useful in those places or whether it can be extended further. It clearly showed that all of the people involved in that event were very content with the activities, as you can see from the video. Since then, we've also taken it to a conference that happened soon after in Slovenia, where there was a lot of interest as well. And over the last few months, we've been bringing it all together, and we've created a tool which we call the Ready Toolkit, which is for youth workers to use in their sessions with a whole range of different activities to use with young people for this purpose of readying them for whatever work we're going to do today. And that tool is available. We'll be distributing it during this conference, and obviously going forward in the last few weeks before the end of the project. It will also be available on the website and ready for everyone to use. I don't know if there are any questions.
We might just, for the purposes of the various different sessions today, if there are questions or comments or any ideas, please do use the chat room, as you have also nicely done with your check-in and your Christmas presents. So we'll be using that, and then by the end of the day today, we will have a short kind of reflection and wrap up, and we'll go back over everything that's in the chat today and just reflect on anything that's emerging from that. That was brilliant, Nick. Thanks a million for that. If one other element you might just give us just because in terms of we have different levels of expertise and different experiences across the partnership, which I think was really one of the strengths. So, and but one thing that we did have in common was we were all working in different ways with young people that we might call harder to reach young people. So in Belvedere, the Youth Club, it's based in the North Inner City of Dublin. So the community is a disadvantaged community, and a lot of the young people might often be dealing with intergenerational poverty, a lot of kind of negative experiences in their lives. So one of our youth workers described it that it's like when they come into our youth centre, they have a school bag full of trauma. So that idea of the trauma that these young people are carrying is something that our youth centres and our various different settings that we were working with across the partnership were very often kind of looking at how do we take the young person and allow them to come into the space and feel safe, feel engaged, and feel able to do their work. So if you like, the various tools that Nick was describing that we were testing and exploring in the different settings are very much to allow those young people to step away from that trauma for that period while they're with us, so that they can start to examine maybe what's in that school bag and start to kind of maybe think about words, language, emotions as to how they can somehow refer and unpack what's going on in their lives and schools and families and the community. So that idea of how do you step into that safe space? What are the tools that are helpful? One of the other elements that we'll again explore probably tomorrow morning with our youth workers is the idea of the youth workers themselves and the trauma that they often are carrying because they're dealing with this day in, day out. The teachers who are working on these kind of quite challenging issues with their young people. How do we support those teachers, those educators, the trainers, the youth workers? And this again becomes very much the focus of the project. And we heard from our young people and youth workers in the video piece, and Nick has described it over the course of today, and later we'll hear more from our young people who experienced the project, from our youth workers, and from the rest of the team who were involved in developing what we'll launch later this week, or the toolkit that will be kind of used beyond the project. So when our project finishes in the next month or two, this toolkit will continue to be promoted in a whole range of different networks and organizations that we're all participating in. But again, sorry, Nick, just jumping on what you're saying there, just that we one of the skill sets that, if you like, the Belvedere Youth Club brought was that experience of working on restorative practice. Our teams in Slovenia and in Sweden had very skilled yoga teachers and teen yoga workers who were quite used to working in those settings, again dealing with harder to reach young people, again young people that had those similar senses of the school bags of trauma. And we explored how does that idea of teen yoga help to build up that toolkit, that ability to kind of make the young people more ready and make the youth workers more ready. So that's brilliant. So again, any questions at all, please throw them in and we'll keep an eye there. If there's anything specific, we can obviously come back to you over time. The toolkit, when we circulate it, we have all your contact details, so we'll be circulating that during the week as well.
I just wanted to add something to that, Paul.
Sure.
Yeah. What was, I think, the vision beyond making young people ready and youth workers ready for their work and for their workplace was actually creating a toolkit that would enable healthy relationships overall. So not only being ready for work or ready for study, but also ready for actually engaging in a completely new way of being, which Belvedere Youth Club is so good at, and yoga really helps, using that bottom-up approach of how do I respond rather than react within friendships, in intimate relationships, and in relationships in the family. And what we're finding from the feedback that we're getting is that the toolkit, if you like, is being shared beyond the workplace, being shared in the families, and that's what's so enriching and so exciting about this project.